Split is directed by M. Night Shyamalan. It stars James McAvoy and Anya Taylor-Joy. And don't worry, I'm not going to get into any spoilers or hint at anything that would possibly ruin the movie experience for you. Just sit back, relax, and take a deep breath. In the last couple of years, M. Night has gone back to his more classic style of making films. The Visit, which came out in 2015, that movie was actually received pretty well critically and by the audience. But man, did this guy have a bad stretch of movies or what? And I mean, it pretty much got to the point where if you saw this guy's name up on the big screen or heard somebody talking about this guy, it was like he was the butt of every joke, and he almost seemed to lose all respect as a filmmaker, poor guy. But I mean, if you think about the movies he put out, The Happening, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and After Earth, I mean, what do you expect? But M. Night's follow-up to The Visit is Split, which is a psychological thriller about a man who suffers from a disorder giving him 23 different personalities and ends up kidnapping 3 girls, holding them captive in an unknown location for undisclosed reasons. And this movie switches back and forth between the girls trying to escape and James McAvoy's character visiting his psychologist. But I've always been a fan of M. Night's movies up until Lady in the Water. For me, that's when his movies really started going off the rails. But even The Village, I really seem to enjoy that movie to this day. A lot of people seem to have problems with the way that movie ended, but I still enjoy that movie. But I think it's safe to say with Split, this is his best movie since Signs, and I think it's safe to say M. Night Shyamalan is back. And this movie pretty much has great performances all across the board, which the main 3 being James McAvoy's character, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Betty Buckley, who plays the psychologist in the movie. But one of the best aspects about this movie is just seeing James McAvoy's character meeting with his psychologist. He's just trying to get all these personalities sorted out, while she's trying to understand these personalities and understand how his brain is working. And Anya Taylor-Joy was excellent in this movie. She's definitely one of the better young actresses in the business right now, but her character in this movie has so many layers and you learn so much about her. Her character was definitely a highlight in this movie. And James McAvoy in this movie is seriously incredible. The task of having to perform all of these different personalities and nail them, that's not something you can just show up to set and pull off. This guy was so good in this movie. He seriously should be considered for a nomination for an Oscar. I was blown away by this guy. And this movie, as I'm sure you could guess right, has some pretty suspenseful moments, but M. Night does a great job at throwing in humor here and there in the appropriate places. And that's another great thing about James McAvoy's character. He plays those creepy, eerie characters, but also characters that almost serve as like the comedic relief. And that gives the movie those moments of levity and just a great balance of humor and suspense. And this movie does take some risk, and it does ask you as the audience to have some patience. And at one point in the movie, I wasn't really on board where this movie was heading or what was happening, but it takes another turn and you have a complete epiphany and a different outlook on everything you just watched. And I seriously walked out of this movie with a smile on my face, and I wanted to see it a second time with a different perspective after seeing the whole big picture. But that's something M. Night Shyamalan is so great at doing. But this isn't a perfect movie. I did have some minor issues with the other 2 girls in this movie. Mainly they just felt a little over the top with certain things they said or the way they reacted in certain situations. But seriously, the good severely outweigh the minor flaws in this film. So with all that said, I'm going to give Split an A-. Guys, this is M. Night Shyamalan's best movie since Signs, and it's a great psychological thriller and probably James McAvoy's best performance ever. Go check this one out. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and please make sure to subscribe for future videos. I'm Rex Overdrive. I'll see you next time.